Well, let me ask this question from this perspective. Let's just say hypothetically, it's 1985. You're home right now, watching Dirty Dancing or whatever you were doing back then, listening to probably Meatloaf.
He does. He does have the Patrick Swayze hair.
Oh, he does. We know. Oh, you should see his younger. We're gonna put a younger pic of him up right now. Patrick Swayze's gonna pop up right now.
All right.
It's 1982. Cromer's home listening to Meatloaf. You get the itch now. You want to go to the Western Basin. I want to go see these rivers. There's no internet. There's no YouTube. There's no cell phones. There's really nothing. I mean, what do you do? Hello and welcome to episode number 42 of the NJ Multi-Species Podcast. I am your host, Joe Santiago. As always, my partner, Chris Pereira. Chris, you look nice and clean, shaved up.
Yeah. My beard's like, the hockey teams, they grow their beard out till they're out of the playoffs.
Are you out of the playoffs now?
Once we lost New Jersey Ice, I gave up. I shaved it all off. I took everything off. It's gone.
Okay, so Chris is done.
I'm still going to be ice fishing, but I'm not in New Jersey. I don't think we have a chance here for it to come back.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. We'll see.
There's a chance.
There's always a chance. Anything's possible, but I'm giving up.
All right, what do we have for news? Pretty much there's a lot of shows going on right now all over New Jersey. A lot of guys are busy at shows.
Yeah, the guys that aren't fishing.
The other guys are fishing that aren't at the shows. But yeah, there is a lot of shows. I think the fly fishing show was this past weekend. There's a show like at a hotel like 3 minutes from my house. Like I could walk to this hotel.
Really?
And Frank Mahalik's given a blackfish seminar there, and the admission's $5 to get in. So I'm going to that one.
Sunday?
It's February 3rd in Hasbrook Heights at a hotel. It's $5 admission. So I was like, wow, because I was actually
February 3rd for sure. Are you sure?
I think so. He posted it on his Instagram.
Well, you shouldn't be giving out dates if you're not 100% sure.
I'm somewhat enough sure. I'm sure enough to say it.
All right, you keep going. I'll double check it.
All right, so he's got the anglers. I was actually going to a different show to see his seminar. That's much farther away, but this show turns out to be it's not a show; it's an angler's flea market. But he's doing.
So all right, I'm going to stop you. You're talking about the Hasbrook Heights Hilton.
Yeah,
it's February 4th.
February 4th. So I was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're used to it by now, right?
Well, I would have showed up on the wrong day, too, so at least now we're all going the right day, Frank.
If you showed up at the wrong day with like a dozen other people that came because you said it on here and they were listening to you, that would have been the best.
Dude, the first thing, I saw a flyer and it said, like, Frank Mahalik, Blackfish Seminar, Bergen County. And then, like, I was talking to Frank through Messenger, and I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to see you at the Bergen County show. And he's like, all right, cool, see you there. And then I'm like, I'm looking at it. It's Bergen County, Pennsylvania, like 4 hours from here. I'm like, oh, it's not Bergen County.
Damn, he goes all the way out?
He goes far, yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, so you got this one right here that's local to you. So just to be clear, it's at the Hasbrook Heights Hilton on February 4th, 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's the flea market. And like you said, you're right, the cost of admission was $5. It says there's door prizes, fishing seminars throughout the day. One of those seminars is Frank. I don't see a specific time for his.
And also, I noticed like the
Oh, no,
vendor
I'm sorry. Hold on. There is a specific time for his
10:30.
seminar. Yeah,
10.
10:30.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm going for that 10:30.
Okay.
But
You don't care about the rest of it?
no, I'm gonna walk around. But I noticed too, like the vendor price for that flea market is fairly cheap. Like I think it's $35. Like I was
Okay.
almost gonna, I was almost, it's like $35 or something. I was almost gonna like ask Kevin Glenn, like, you want to rent half a table with me? I got so much old shit in my garage that I could sell fishing stuff, like, or anyone if you even if you own a business or a fishing for $35 to get a table. I mean,
I'm assuming it's too late now, or do they still have?
I saw the post the other day. It still said it. It
Maybe they
said,
still have spots.
I doubt they would turn someone away from a flea market. I mean, I don't know. It seemed all reasonably priced, though. Really good. So I'm going to that one. Whatever. And it's close.
Yeah, why not?
Fishing wise, you went fishing with Katie. You guys went trout fishing.
We
You
went trout fishing.
couldn't get on Merrill Creek because the boat launch is closed because it's frozen. Is that why it's closed?
No, it's not because it's frozen. It is because they claim that the docks broke off the moorings from, I'm assuming, because it froze.
Oh God.
But what's strange to me, and like, I mean, obviously, I don't trust anything these guys ever do over there after what they pulled. Uh, they are not even allowing kayaks on there, which that's a separate launch. So that right there makes no sense. I mean, you can launch a boat without a dock, but if they want to close it because of that, that's fine. To close the kayak launch just seems suspect to me. It's kind of like they don't want anyone there in the winter. I'm not saying they did it on purpose, but it froze. The docks broke off the thing. They don't have any intention of fixing it till the spring. I would bet money on that. That ain't going to be fixed till April at the earliest. That's my prediction.
You're probably right.
But anyway, yeah. So we went trout fishing just on foot. We waited. She hadn't been able to go fishing yet since the new year started. So we're trying to get her to fish. I don't know. The conditions seemed pretty good. We didn't go early. We kind of got the late start. We just no rush. We just late start. Went to a couple of spots. And I don't know, when you start late in the morning, I guess you don't really know if, for all you know, you could be following behind someone who already fished through there and you never even saw them. So long story short, the fishing was really slow. Spots that always hold, wild brown trout, there was nothing. We came back through with different lures, and she was able to get a pretty nice stocked rainbow, and that
And
was
that was
pretty.
it. That was the only fish,
That was
really.
that was it for trout. We did not really see much else. No other hits, nothing like that. We did run into your buddy John Gragglegooney, and um, I don't know. He seemed upset. He went away. He didn't. He was on the other side of the river, and we recognized each other, and I caught a smallmouth behind him. So that was my
So he was
win.
he was immediately intimidated by you, is what
That
you're
was
saying?
my win of the day. I came in behind him and caught his favorite species in the river.
Wow. So that, yeah. So now you have confidence over him. I understand.
No,
Sk-
yeah, it was just a small. It was a for that part of the river for a smallmouth. It was pretty nice size, probably like 15, 16 inches. Um, but I thought it was a big trout because it was gave a
well,
good
that
fight. But
sucks. That sucks, actually.
yeah, well, whatever.
Skillful Angler, they registered NJ Squatch, Dwayne's yellow perch. He leads now, 13-inch yellow perch. From the Squatch and Max Wilson, they certified his pickerel at 26.5, so he knocked his friend Katie off the leaderboard. Max is the leader now for pickerel. That's the only 2 so far.
He knocked her off so fast. I don't think anyone even noticed. I don't even think her name ever went up.
Yeah, she was up. She
Oh,
did
yeah?
get up. Yeah, she was the first one of the year. Not anymore though. Her best friend like knifed her right in the back, so
Yeah.
it's over
I
now.
hope she took a screenshot of it.
Yeah, she did probably. Hopefully she doesn't talk to Max anymore, and neither do we. Our guest tonight is Dave Kattowski from New York. I'm gonna try to get him in here now. Chris, what other news? There's so much news that I don't like know what to even say. Like, there's just so much shit going on.
Well, I think Deuce asked you months and months ago to start taking notes about the stuff that you wanted to bring up on the episode. Why didn't you do that?
Um, I just don't remember. It's just too much.
My
This week,
theory is you're too concerned placing the Old Spice deodorant bottles behind you every episode in a different spot. No, it's on the other side now. It's not up on your dresser anymore.
well, I'm sponsored by Old Spice and Pop Tarts. I am wearing my njfishing.com shirt. Do remember to visit njfishing.com. There's actually 3 fiery debates going on right now in the forum that you could get involved in. But like I said, our guest tonight is Dave Kattowski from New York. He's been fishing New York basically for over 50 years, probably even over 60. He's from Jersey. They
How
can't
long?
see you yet. I'm
How
still
old
in.
are you, Dave? 87?
He's 198 years old, mythical creature. When he walks through the woods, the trees bend to the sides. No, he's from New Jersey, but he'll never admit it. Dave Kattowski. In New York they call him Downstate Dave, Cromer, Rave. What other nicknames?
Idiot.
Idiot, dummy.
Stuff
Hey,
like that.
that's Joe's nickname.
Yeah, well, we're in a competition for that one.
Which nickname do you like the best?
I like Dave.
You just like being Dave?
Yeah. I get it's nickname.
Is someone yelling in the background, Dave?
My crazy wife. Yeah.
That's so. This is Dave Kattowski now, the man that is basically the poster child for the internet ruined fishing, and here we have him sitting on a fishing podcast.
Now, wait, hold on. That's before we get into like the steelhead and stuff. I actually wanted to bring that up real quick because I remember last time you stopped in, and you said that, and it's hard to argue, but I was thinking about it, and I wanted to bring up one little point. So, like other things, all right, the internet is a tool, and now obviously that tool could be used the wrong way. It could be used the right way. I'm kind of I was making an analogy in my head because I don't disagree with you. I think it definitely ruined some parts. But the analogy I was making in my head was the whole guns don't kill people, people kill people. Right. So a gun is a tool. A gun in the hands of someone good is necessary.
No, absolutely.
And I was making that analogy in my head, like the internet in the hands of someone who will use it properly is a tool that will help.
Most and now with the internet much more advanced than it was when I first started experiencing those things. It is a noticeable, helpful tool, and it encourages a lot of positive things too. A lot of good things come from this this format.
And I'm gonna take.
I want to throw in though. I will, in his defense, Cromer, he has shown me a lot of secrets, especially around New Jersey, New York. I've seen some, but not all. But I've literally seen. I won't even say the specific secret, but one of the secret things that he took me to do the first time he maybe took me, I don't know, 11, 12 years ago, it was phenomenal. It was just me and his buddies. Everyone caught fish all day. That, if Cromer, if you know what I'm talking about now, that is so destroyed that no one even goes to it anymore from your group or me. It's ruined.
I grew up going there. You know, my uncles and my grandfather. You know, we'd go there and do that. And yeah, it's gotten, and that's the problem with therein lies the problem with anything, not just the internet. You know, because there's bad players everywhere. You know, and people that are going to take advantage of a good thing like this and bring that bad element. You know, that's why I've taken a step back from this steelhead thing and the big browns and take the, you know, some of the road less traveled, some of the paths where, you know, little wild fish and places where you got to walk a ways. You know, maybe I'll live a little longer for it. You know.
Right, it's gonna hurt to get some exercise, that's for sure, right? I mean, I tell myself that all the time as I'm taking like a 2-mile hike back after getting skunked. I'm like, oh, I'm just exercising today.
Part of the program. It's an excuse to be in the woods.
Yeah.
So I've already basically explained to Chris that, I mean, a river that's 5 hours to you, that's basically just a normal day in the park. I mean, you're going out Saturday on a trout fishing day, you're probably going to end up 5 hours away somewhere.
A lot of
usually.
Not
yeah,
always.
most of the time. Yeah.
A lot of times, you know.
I've never seen anything like this madness that I've dealt with. Chris, he's crazier than Kattowski, actually, when it comes to this.
But isn't that the thing where, isn't that why we kind of do it? You know, you kind of, you can keep that kid in you. You know, where every time I know with you guys, it's the same thing. If I'm on a river or a creek that I've never been on before, and I'm fishing, and maybe not doing so good or doing good or whatever, that bend way down there, around that next bend, is the honey hole of the century in my head. And I know it is in yours too.
Yeah.
That's why you do it.
It's both a
I feel
blessing
like
and
you're
a curse.
I feel like you're completely fueled by a hatred for New Jersey, and you just, the farther north you drive, you feel better and better, so you just keep going.
No, New Jersey was real good to me, man. You know, it was. I'm not gonna shit on Jersey.
I mean, take us back though. I want to hear it because, I mean, I've seen some decent steelhead fishing days. Obviously, I've been up there days when it's horrible. I've been up there on days when it's really fantastic. But now you're telling me that back in the 80s, 90s, it blows away what we're seeing now. Like, you basically, you tell me I'm not even looking at real steelhead fishing.
Well, Douglaston Run was $10 and $15 for the day. It was $10 for steelhead, 15 for salmon. You know, and the river, the salmon river wasn't as commercialized, and that's a double-edged sword, because I get it, because, you know, we all kind of think that bad element isn't going to necessarily want to spend the money to go to a place like that. Some do, but on the other hand, if you don't have that place, we're all cuffed to being subject to certain, do I dare say, the Red Army, or you know, come on, really? It's just like the most sickening thing I've ever seen was I pulled up to Maxwell Creek one time, and it's a small, it's really, it's one of the little salmon rivers. That's what Maxwell Creek is, really. And there was a bunch of cars there, and there was a bunch of people on the creek, and they were all snagging, and they all had plastic garbage bags with 3 or 4. You know, it's you're allowed one steelhead per day on a river on the trips. They had 4 steelhead in bags, and they were stuffing them in their trunks. And we called up the DEC, and they're like, describe the perpetrator. We're like, which one? There's 50, 60 of them. Which one?
God.
And no one ever showed up.
Yeah, I've had that problem here in New Jersey. Even just, you'll see one guy doing it, you call them, they acknowledge you. They just, if they show up, it's way too late. I mean, And we've actually talked. We talked to an officer once and kind of asked that. Basically, the simple answer, I guess, is that they say that it's not, for lack of better terms, it's not worth going after these guys unless
Sure.
someone's there already nearby and they can just pull right up and catch them red-handed. Otherwise, it ain't even worth the ticket. You know what I mean? Like the tickets they're gonna get ain't even worth it.
Sure.
Well, let me ask this question from this perspective. Let's just say hypothetically, it's 1985. You're home right now, watching Dirty Dancing or whatever you were doing back then, listening to probably Meatloaf.
He does have the Patrick Swayze hair.
Oh, he does. Oh, you should see his younger. We're gonna put a younger pic of him up right now. Patrick Swayze's gonna pop up right now.
All right.
It's 1982. Cromer's home listening to Meatloaf. You get the itch now. You want to go to the Western Basin. I want to go see these rivers. There's no internet. There's no YouTube. There's no cell phones. There's really nothing. I mean, what do you do? Like, we just immediately go to the internet, start researching, start text messaging friends that might know someone there. You had none of that shit. It's like and it's only a gap of about 30 or 40 years, but the technology difference is unbelievable. So where do you start with? I mean, where do you start?
Well, I grew up around a lot of people that did this kind of fishing. Like some of my buddies' fathers and stuff. And but the go-to back then was Fly Fisherman magazine. Field and Stream or whatever. Every once in a while, when you'd have an article that was something about something in the East that was within a driving distance, you were like, oh man,
and that'd be the first you were hearing of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
and then like fishing shows years ago, like Jerry McInnes, rest his soul. He just passed away last year, I believe. But Jerry McInnes was a real famous fishing show guy. Yeah, it was what was his show? I'm not sure, but he did a show. He did a show along the Western Basin of Lake Ontario, casting from a boat for big browns right near the shore.
Really?
Yeah, that one got me. That one got me going. That was a long time ago. That was
like Joe.
Why is it? Okay,
I was gonna just say, Joe. Like when we were younger, it was when the internet came up. What are you? You're 2 years younger than me.
One.
You're only one. So you could. I'm trying to like parallel something because I wasn't fishing back then. Obviously, even if you were, your dad was taking you.
He's the equivalent of like Christopher Columbus compared to us. Like he had to drive with the paper map and the pen. And
he's not the first one there.
No, but I'm not. But where did he? How did you get in?
I'm trying to think. Like, what were we doing back then before the internet? What were we like 10, 9, 10, 11, something like that?
I was just going to like the Ramapo Reserve and fishing the pond there.
I wasn't even fishing. I'm trying to. I was probably like, how did I get like video game secret codes as a kid? I don't even know. Like my friend found out from like his older cousin or something.
Game Genie.
But what was that? Was that a magazine? Same way, I guess? You're just getting your information from magazines, I guess?
Nintendo power.
But Dave. That kind of thing, that all started with just, once I was able to drive, because there were so many times with my father, fishing with my father and going past creeks that were smaller creeks that weren't his cup of tea or whatever. And I'd be like, oh man, I want to fish that. I wish I could fish that. Why can't I fish that? Yeah. Why are we going to this river instead of that creek? I want to fish that creek. So once I started driving, that's when I started I got the Hagster maps. I had a Hagster map in my hand the other day when I was fishing Pennsylvania. And it's got all of the old pen marks and the little circles and all that stuff,
And I bet you there's still some hidden gems on that map that haven't been, distributed out on the internet.
You are not wrong.
If I ever find out he's dead, I'm gonna try to break into his house and get those maps out of there before anyone else.
You gotta leave those to someone in your will, someone in your family that fishes.
I do. I have to.
Good. And
it's held together by duct tape, Chris. It's literally disintegrating.
I can picture it in my mind. And you know what? You're when you're talking about that, I'm driving down sometimes and I think the same thing. I drive past, I went a different way. There was like traffic and the stupid GPS took me a different way to my parents' house the other day. And I see this stream there and I'm looking, I'm zooming on the map. I'm like, that looks like that was a decent that was, it wasn't a river, but it was a big creek. Like that was a significant creek. And I zoomed in real quick to see the name and I didn't recognize it. And my first thought was like, I've never heard of that before. There must not be anything there because of the internet. And then I immediately was like, hold on a second. I'm like, that is the wrong way to think. Like, you got to go back, think the way that you used to have to think, and go check it out. I bet you there's a lot of hidden gems, even right here in New Jersey, in the populated areas. People just drive right by them because they never heard of it before.
You know where I caught you? I'll tell you one.
You're going to give away a secret on here?
You know Wayne, New Jersey?
Okay.
Where Valley Road and Hamburg Turnpike meet.
I'm not directly familiar with that, but
down from Preakness Shopping Center. It's a real populated area, always has been. There's a little creek right there. You can jump across it. I used to catch amongst the shopping carts in the creek. I used to catch wild brook trout all the time.
See, that's awesome.
The shopping carts.
Blowing by on Hamburg Turnpike, cutting each other off, laying on the horn. I had to get out of that one.
Dave, let me ask you this question. When someone obviously becomes interested in going to New York from Jersey, they immediately, I want to go catch a salmon or a steelhead. They're all, almost everyone's told immediately the Salmon River. That's the place. That's where everyone's going. Why are the other, 10,000 tributaries that are having the same fish runs, just not that they're ignored because they're crowded too, but they don't get the attention that the Salmon River does? Why do you think that is?
Because it's the Salmon River. It's always been. It was the original place. That was the place where it all started.
Would you now? You have a lot more experience fishing these other rivers. I don't. How does the Salmon River actually stack up to the other rivers when it comes to fishing wise?
Salmon River is a beautiful river, man. I mean, appearance wise and for flows and just, it's a beautiful river. And
he wants everyone to keep going only there. He doesn't want them going.
Yeah, he doesn't.
No, because it gets a lot of fish, but again, it's the Salmon River, just like Oswego. We never called it Oz, and now everybody's calling it Oz, and it's.
How big was the brown trout? Can I name that river where the brown trout came from?
Sure.
How big was the brown trout?
That was like 16, 17 pounds.
For 17 pounds, it looks.
I don't. How long was it just in comparison? I can't even picture.
There's no way to humanly measure it because it's like stomach's hanging 3 feet. It's just like
I had a big picture of it, and I was just looking for it, and then you texted me to drop in.
Well, if you don't have to, you get it to us like later today or tomorrow or the next day, and we'll.
Oh, this thing's only on paper. I saw this picture going through his photo albums, which the photo albums are already just filled with all mutants. But when I saw this one in particular, this thing's ridiculous, this brown. But you've caught steelhead that are probably more accomplished than that brown, no?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so the brown, for some reason, I'm fascinated with the brown he's caught steelhead that are even better.
Well, I caught that brown. It was on the red, and when I first stepped up, I said to Mike, Mike's my great friend from childhood, and we fished together all the time. I said to Mike, "What do you think? You think I should go for that brown, or do you think I should go for one of those steelhead behind it?" And he just looks at me. He goes, "What are you, a jerk off?" He goes, "How many browns that big have you ever caught?" I'm like, "None." He goes, "You've caught tons of steelhead the size of that biggest one behind that. Catch that brown." So the second drift passed. She just wallowed over, crushed it, set the hook. It wasn't much of a fight. Big fat thing full of egg.
It is ridiculous. It doesn't look like it could swim in any fashion.
And I let that fish go. I mean, the eggs were pouring out of her. I let her go. She went back to the red, rested the pool for a minute, and caught 3 of those steelhead after she settled back in.
And you are when it comes to fishing, you're primarily a meat and potatoes guy, egg sacks, on a fly rod.
No, I've caught them on like nuclear roe bugs and like bead-headed nymphs and stuff.
So you'll just bottom bounce anything, really?
Yeah, whatever it takes. Like if I'm float fishing with egg sacks and it's really incredibly good, and I'm getting kind of bored, I'll just go get the fly rod, or whatever, or throw a jig on or something. One time we were on one of the Western tribs, and we got there and we fished the bottom, the last hole at the before the estuary. Nice run, piles of fish in there. We go there, we're catching browns, rainbows, domestic rainbows, steelhead. Really great day, me and Mike. That night we had a snowstorm and it got really cold, and there was skim ice along the edge, and all these buckeyes got caught in there, these bait fish things, and they kind of look like a herring.
Yeah.
So now let's try that under a float. Hook it through the lip, flip it out there, pop it. Down goes the float, man. Set that hook. It was just crazy. That float would take off like a rocket. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was different.
So you're literally just picking dead frozen bait fish out of the shoreline and casting them.
Freshly flash frozen. Because they were. I think all the oxygen was depleted. It froze so quick, and they were stuck in these pockets under this real thin ice. So you break the ice, and we got a whole bunch of them.
Huh.
It was killer.
All right, let me just jump back real quick, just before we get into more stuff. Just a real simple. Say someone's listening to this. They've never fished for salmon or steelhead. They've never even fly fished. They've never drift fished. They have no idea how. Besides the obvious of talking to someone and going with someone who's done it before, what's like the basic way to start doing this? Like the basic way to jump in? Like, can I do it with a spin rod? I could do it with a spin rod, a big spin rod. Do I need a fly rod?
Yeah, no, I'd say a nice longer spinning rod, like at least a 9-footer. Like a lot of guys call the old rods were noodle rods, but in my opinion, you want something with 40% backbone, 60% tip, pretty fast.
And you could pick. I feel like you could pick up one of those from like Daiwa or something. I think I picked up one once for like $30 or $40. Like they're not.
Yeah. Daiwa, Browning, one of them, and then you just get a mediocre. Like a Shimano type reel, or should I have said that? Whatever.
Yeah, you could say it. He loves Shimano, so he loves St. Croix and loves Shimano.
Yeah,
my thing.
They don't pay us nothing.
Yeah. But I feel like it definitely gets overcomplicated. Like you could take a very experienced trout fisherman from Jersey and throw him up there on the river, and he kind of goes haywire and doesn't know what to do. It's really just the same shit, just they're bigger fish.
Well, before they outlawed it, when you took a newbie up, you would take a pocket full of eggs, step up to a hole full of fish, set them up, rain on them. That's against the law now. Never used to be against the law. You were allowed to chum.
Does that really work that great?
That's ridiculous,
dude. You could
really.
You've never seen.
Don't do it. What's that?
You've never seen someone do that in New Jersey with corn on the stock trout?
I've seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it with steelhead though. I mean, he's talking about a feeding frenzy of steelhead with. That's awesome.
The steelhead are the most cooperative fish on the planet. They
Yeah,
just
well,
are.
I was gonna say when like Joe loves steelhead, he loves them, and when someone loves a certain species of fish so much, they tend to think that that species is smart or intelligent, and they're
They're
just not.
No, they're
They're
fish.
fish.
They have the intellect of somewhere between an insect and a reptile. You know,
Well,
so
yeah, all fish, all
right,
fish. I won't get into it, but
right. I'm with you though.
the bottom line is you're gonna once you trigger the instincts, it's a fish.
And that's the beauty of a steelhead. Because for me, maybe not for everybody out there, and guys might disagree, and that's fine. And because everybody's their own. I mean, each person has their own style. For me, if I spot them, I got them. I'm going to hook up because it may like so many times. If you're persistent, if you see a steelhead, if you're persistent, that sometimes it's that fifth cast. It comes over and looks. It moves over. It looks. The next cast, it'll take it. Sometimes it's the 40th or the 41st cast. That 42nd cast, he's gonna grab it. But if
Are you telling me, in all seriousness, you've never walked away from a fish that you saw that you wanted to catch? You've never walked away. If you wanted to catch it, you've done upwards of 50, 60, whatever amount of drifts it takes. You get that fish to bite?
with steelhead,
Yeah.
most of the time, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd say
That's a crazy
the
persistent.
better percentage of the time, I can get that fish to you got to stand there like Rain Man for Christ's sake, and you can't make it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it eventually will hit. I guarantee. Steelhead every time.
That's a hell. I mean, that's crazy. Like focus. I don't even know what to call it.
If you had your
Persistent.
ideal water flow situation, would you rather be there bottom bouncing with the fly rod or float fishing with the spin rod?
The ideal. There you go. The ideal water for float
Is way higher.
is a lot different than the ideal water for fly fishing.
I'm just offering you your ideal day. You could build it.
I'd go with the float.
Float high water float. See, he loves most days that you would stay home is the days he goes fishing. Like he just ridiculous high water, loves high water.
And now, so you you use a heavier leader and you can land fish more frequently?
Yeah, they're brave and hungry. You know, a little bit of stain, a little bit of off color. They don't have to worry about shit. You know, they just have to worry about getting that. That's like with stoning. You've heard of stoning. Works.
What? Heard of what?
Stoning fish. When you stone fish, that's against the law too.
But I thought you were talking about like stone flies. I don't know.
Like stoning a witch, like
stoning fish. If you have a pile of fish in the hole, throw a rock in that hole and then drift a bait through, and you'll hook up.
What?
Because the fish. Here's what I.
Wait, but hold on. You said this is illegal too?
Deuce, clip this.
New York, yeah.
All right, so don't do this. But what is it?
You throw a stone. If you see a pile of like browns or steelhead, you throw a stone in there. They go into a panic. The second a bait starts coming through there, the instinct changes from panic of getting away to panic. Is that other fish going to get to that bait before me?
Okay.
Wait, so the next time I see some fish I want to try to catch, I should start throwing rocks at them?
Not a bunch of rocks.
He just said it's illegal.
Just a quick.
Is it legal in Jersey? Most stupid shit's legal here.
I bet you it. I bet you.
Ask some guys in the know if they're fishing a nice run on the Salmon River, and a a drift boat comes by. If you cast behind that, ask guys that are always up there.
Now this works for salmon and steelhead. Just anything, any fish that are like packed.
Steelhead and browns, you know.
Not the salmon.
The salmon will get into a panic, and you're likely to line one because they're just especially because of the size of the pods. There's bigger numbers.
See, I consider myself really good at seeing like fish and deer. Like I could see stuff really good. I cannot see steelhead for shit. I can't see them.
You don't do that.
They're invisible to me.
You don't do that peripheral vision thing. Look across to the other side when the sun's right.
I was literally on this. I was on Salmon River once, and I had a bunch of salmon in front of me, and I was looking at them, flossing through them, and Mike came over to me and he said, "What about those three steelhead behind the salmon? You're not trying for those?" And I'm looking at it like I don't see anything. He's like, "Take that sponge off, put an egg on." I think it was the second cast I had one on. I can't see them, and they're like silver.
Yeah, they're real silver. They glow. They pop right out.
Dude,
Just look for a lateral line. Just look for those lines, man. And look for
they vanish.
It's in your head, man. You've got you hold them on a high horse. They're just a fish.
Mm-hmm.
No.
High speed.
Like, oh, steelhead are so awesome. They turn fucking invisible, and I can't see them.
Cromer, are steelhead up on a pedestal when it comes to fish species?
They're a great fish, man. When you hook a dime bright fresh one, but I've hooked some dime bright fresh ones that were kind of lackluster. I think I said that last time. I think it's all about the individual fish, but you're going to get a higher percentage of, just like if you hook a smallmouth, you're going to get a higher percentage of fish that are ready to rock and roll.
You're not always sight fishing the steelhead, though, right? I mean, sometimes.
No, I'm believe fishing. I'm going up to that run, and I'm believing.
I'm never sight fishing because I can't see anything.
They're invisible to you, but
yeah.
So is there anything like different or special versus any other species of trout or something that you'd be fishing in the river? Are you looking for basically the same things in the river? You're looking for those seams and the
yeah. And any one of those, any run, you got those usual 4 or 5 spots.
Yeah,
they're always the typical lies.
What about beads? You like beads at all?
And they work good.
Yeah,
they work really good. They work.
How do you know what size bead to use?
Well, just by sight. By what you see. If you're going to go into a sports shop or if you're going to look at ordering them, these beads, you gotta see what size. Like coho eggs are a little bit bigger than a brown trout egg.
Yeah, I think the king ones, they're the 10 millimeter, and then the browns are
10 and 8 millimeter.
Yeah, the brown trout eggs are like the 6 millimeter. There's all I never know which size bead to use.
I don't think size matters much because I mean, if you like they're catching big steelhead on the Niagara with big clumps of skein, So
yeah.
I've done that much.
I've done that on Oswego. I don't know, Chris. You want
some days I'm with you. I'm like, what does it matter? It's a millimeter or something like that. And then other days I'm like, oh, I have the wrong shade of green and it's not working. I use that shade of green. I don't have any more. I don't know. It's crazy. It could go either way, I feel like. But
definitely.
So he's actually also the one that you caught that monster brown trout on the secret fly. He's the one that helped me think of that material that makes that fly. That was his idea.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You took 100% credit for that.
Pretty much.
You only just right now admitted that someone helped you come up with that idea.
No, I mentioned
he's
before.
the one that had the gumption to tie it and make the fly. So
I had mentioned his. I'd given him credit for it before.
I don't think so.
Oh yeah, I have. You want to ask him any questions about the Adirondacks, Chris? Because I know you. He has a special place in his heart for that place. I know it's not there's no steelhead there, but he knows a lot about it.
Well, before we jump off of the steelhead real quick, I just wanted to one more time because I'm personally not that experienced in it. I've only gone steelhead fishing, I call it 2 handfuls of times. Most of the trips were unsuccessful. I had one really successful trip. That was in the fall. That was in the spring. My fall trips were never super successful. I think maybe between me and 1 or 2 other guys, we'd catch 1 or 2 each of the trips. So my question is, what, if any, is the difference between what you're doing fishing spring versus fall? So, or before springs before they spawn, falls before they spawn, springs after they spawn. Is that correct?
Yes, they spawn in March, April, whatever, depending on the year.
And are they eating they're eating the salmon eggs that are floating down the river and the brown trout eggs?
Absolutely. Those fish that come in November and stuff. Those are the fish that you're going to be catching in the winter. The winter fish that get real purple, and they stay in the river till spring till it's time to spawn. But they're in there primarily for a big fat meal.
And then when it is time to spawn, they actually swim into the hatchery.
Most of them do, I believe. I know a lot of them go up some of those feeder creeks, and some of them might fall short and up in Altmar, above Altmar there, and spawn in the main stem of the creek.
Yeah.
And so, are they eating the same type of stuff afterwards? After in the spring?
Sure, they eat eggs in the spring.
There's still naturally eggs coming down from all that's happened over the winter.
Yeah, but you can't get them though when you go up there.
No, because just like any fish, they're cannibalistic. I mean, they'll eat steelhead eggs too.
Every time I've ever gone up there in the spring, you can't find eggs anywhere. You can't get them. They don't have sacks in the stores anymore.
Really?
Not in the spring. No.
I haven't.
If you went up there right now, you probably can't. I mean, we know. You're just he's
saying they have them. He's saying you're wrong.
Oh, really?
Isn't it?
No, I just haven't. I haven't bought egg sacks in.
Oh, not
he ties his own, but we were just talking about we were going to possibly go to DSR 2 weeks ago, and we called ahead. They had no egg sacks already, so they're gone. That's it.
Call your buddy Dave. I'll get you egg sacks.
There you go. But all right. So Dave, my question is why are we able to do so much better in the spring than in the fall? If it can't be the same exact fishing the same exact way. It's got to be something.
I always did better in the fall, especially with bigger fish, because it seemed like the bigger fish come in for that smorgasbord, that feeding frenzy. But in the springtime,
I've always caught way more in the fall too. Where is that coming from?
Yeah, why? So then why is? Well, I will say this. This I'm talking. This isn't Salmon River. I'm talking about. We did really well way out west.
Yeah, but the fish are like purple, and they're like 4 pounds lighter than they were supposed to be.
Those are fish back out of the hatchery in the Salmon River.
The dropbacks.
The dropbacks, but if you go out west, like the Erie tribs, I mean, there's steelhead in some of those tribs for 10 months out of the year. They're coming back in, and there's steelhead coming in the end of August, and they're catching them up until end of May, beginning of June.
So there's really no difference between fishing for them in the spring, fishing for them in the fall. I guess it just coincidentally we did better, the opposite of what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, years ago in the springtime, though, you would hit big pods of fresh fish. You would find you'd hit a run and you'd fish a run all day, and you'd be slamming a bunch of fresh steelhead. Now it's a slow, steady pick at best on some days.
Can we confuse everyone now with the species? A rainbow trout. The steelhead we're talking about is basically a fake steelhead because it goes it does what a steelhead should do, but in fresh water instead of salt water. Correct.
Yeah, but it's the steelhead strain. It's the original steelhead strain, Pacific Northwest. But yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I guess you could call it fake, but they do successfully spawn.
I'm not calling it fake. I guess we'll call it a mock. It's a mock up of the real salmon run, I guess.
Set the hook on a fresh one and tell me how fake it is.
Oh no, I know it. Believe me, it's my number one. I love it.
I think I called them fake just to get a rise out of Joe. I think it worked.
No, you didn't do that.
But now the river also has domestic rainbows that live there, but yet they're not a steelhead.
That's the first thing I caught on the Salmon River. The first time I went up there,
a domestic rainbow
by myself, a domestic rainbow on a rubber hellgrammite.
Really?
Under the compactor pool bridge.
Then you have this Scamania, which I still don't know what that is.
It's just a summer run steelhead. It just runs a different time of year, and they get longer and lighter. I mean, we snorkeled the upper Salmon River the one year. We were floating with our personal pontoons and fishing, catching smallmouth and like regular trout and stuff. And snorkeling, I saw a couple Scamanias. They swam right by me. It was pretty cool.
And then there's the cam loop.
Yeah, that's a strainer rainbow from the mountain range in Montana.
And they're in there too. Also not a steelhead.
Yeah, they get that real dark red stripe.
So there's upwards of 4 different rainbow trout in that river system that are not steelhead.
Correct.
And it's technically a different subspecies of fish, or is it let me put it this way. If a regular rainbow trout, just for whatever reason that some instinct kicks in and it decides it wants to go into the Great Lakes, spend a season in there eating and then come back into spawn, is it then a steelhead, or is that's not how it works?
It's not how it works. No.
It's a different species, really, or subspecies.
It has a different DNA.
Okay.
Just like, well, but you know, when you refer to DNA, you can refer to DNA with any trout species. I mean, they're doing that project, the Heritage Brook Trout project, and they're taking the DNA from the brook trout from each and every individual body of water, because they all have different DNA. They're all different strains, and they're replacing or supplementing the populations with that particular species for each body of water. So, you know, there's so many different strains, just like there is with rainbows, you know.
Let me ask you this question, because it's probably something I'll never get to experience. Maybe you have. The speed of the steelhead, unrivaled by any freshwater fish. Nothing even close to it.
Nothing like line ripping through the water.
Nothing. But
crazy. Love that sound. Just I can't even say what it makes me do.
Now I've pretty much had that image in my head my whole life, basically. The steelhead reigned supreme on freshwater. But recently I'm being told and learning more and more that actually the Atlantic salmon is the prize gem of freshwater river fishing. Not something that's really available to us here much in the United States. I don't think you've seen much of it either, correct?
I've caught a few up there, but they were good fighters. The ones that I catch in some of the landlocks that I catch in some of the reservoirs are pretty ape shit, you know.
And they could jump.
Oh, they're impressive.
So I guess stick one of those in a river, it's going to be even.
Why aren't these states sticking them in the river? Like, just throw them in. Like I've said this before, throw 100 out there. You know,
like anything else, dude. It's too expensive, and it's like that we got that one message. I don't know if we're gonna play some of the messages this episode, but we had someone call in and start asking about, you know, how New Jersey stopped stocking brook trout and brown trout because of, you know, the disease they had break out in the hatchery.
Tuberculosis.
Yeah. And
which New York, by the way, has in every hatchery and still just stocks as normal.
So, you know, the only conclusion we can come to is that
and Pennsylvania does too.
It's
also
cheaper. I mean, I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong, Dave, but it's cheaper to raise rainbow trout, and it's more expensive to raise brown trout and brook trout, and so
I won't name his Dave. You were actually, when you lived in Jersey and you were big trout fishing here, you were kind of like, I won't name the river. I know one in particular. One you were highly against the stocking of. You didn't want stocking in that river at all.
I'll tell you the river.
No, don't say it, because I still fish there.
Okay. All right.
Say it.
That's like my last spot, please.
All right. But
it's Ramapo.
I'll tell you what, though. You know, one of the things that soured me with Jersey years ago and really made me turn my back was when the Pequest hatchery first opened. Me and my father went to the inaugural opening, whatever, And they were like, this is state of the art, because they had a problem at the Charles O. Hayford hatchery in Hackettstown years ago where they lost a bunch of brook trout and they didn't stock brook trout for a bunch of years. So this new hatchery was state of the art, never going to have a problem. All of this, whatever. Anyhow, during that thing, this whole open house weekend, I get up. It's an open house forum. I get up and I start talking about my favorite creek and the population of wild brown trout that were in it, where I grew up. And it was, I just got kind of like I kind of wanted to punch him in the face because they just looked at me and kind of laughed and everything. But then when I left, this fisheries biologist woman caught me in the lobby and said, I want to talk to you about this. And then she met me in my town and we electroshocked it. And it turned out there was like 1,800 wild brown trout per mile.
They didn't believe that there was brown trout reproducing successfully in this river you're talking about, right?
No, they didn't. And I would go there where they didn't stock that section of river, ever, until the 80s. And I used to go there and catch brown trout, wild brown trout. They looked like they were from Montana. That big black spot on the cheek and
with the blue, like the blue tint.
Yeah, and the butter.
I'll take you there, Chris.
The red spots and just the blues and the halos and almost like
you got to drive by me for a change.
What?
You got to drive more my direction to go to this place,
dude. There's wild brown trout everywhere now.
Yeah, they're everywhere. But even Cromer, a lot of people that we hear this, a lot of Jersey fishermen, I wouldn't even say a lot, I would say most trout fishermen in New Jersey are pissed off. I remember the trout fishing as a kid with the stocking of all three, how awesome it was.
Well, yeah. And Chris is right. Rainbow trout are the cheapest, fastest growing trout to raise. The guy across the street from me that's not here anymore, he lives over in Pennsylvania. They were a member of the Moon Church, and they were looking to end world hunger. So he had a hatchery over there with swimming pools, and he was raising rainbow trout because they grow the fastest and they are the cheapest to grow.
And to add on to that, they're making a good amount of money off of these trout stamps that people are buying who are only fishing a couple of times a year. Like Joe, you talk about them all the time. You were making fun of them with the stringer with the 6 trout on it. They don't give a shit about the taste difference between a brown trout and a rainbow trout and a brook trout.
I paid for my license. I'll take as many as I want.
Yeah, they don't care.
They're probably making more they're saving money. They're making more people happy than they're making pissed off. I would bet. They're just the people that they're making happy are not guys sharing fishing information on the internet and part of like a fishing community. They're not that type of people.
No.
But I bet you they outnumber us when it comes to trout fishing for stock trout.
I think I think the rainbow trout is the most receptive trout to bait. I think it's the easiest fish to catch of the 3 trout.
Just a little steelhead.
Well, I'm saying it's the easiest one. It's the least likely one to have a chance to get to hold over because it's going to get caught. In the put and take fishery, I think the rainbows get mutilated the worst, especially by power bait, which the brown trout and brook trout eat, but not as often. The rainbow trout just can't resist it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
a lot of guys still fight for, we want our browns back, but we don't want the brook trout. Keep the brook trout out. For some reason, they think they're harmful to our natural population.
Yeah, I guess
that's the only thing that's indigenous to this area. First of all, it's not even a trout; it's an Arctic char, and they come. Yeah. This is where they come from. This is it. This is
so I guess they don't. They don't want it to like taint the gene pool. I guess, right?
Well, that's sure. I mean, if you put hatchery raised brook trout into a stream, they'll still be able to get the DNA from what that stream, the original DNA, but it won't be pure for a long time.
Yeah, but we just cannot get any size out of them, though. That's the only problem. I mean, catching one over 8 inches is now like almost a unicorn.
Well, I found some good brook trout this year. Some good wild ones.
In New Jersey?
No.
I think he's talking about New Jersey.
He refuses to fish New Jersey. He actually night fished to pack on with me. That's the last time he ever came to Jersey, I think.
Touch base with me later, Joe, and I'll tell you a spot to go in Jersey where you could get wild brookies up to about 11 inches.
Oh. I personally I love brook trout. I don't downsize to target the smaller ones ever though, and I haven't seen a really nice one in a while. I used to run into them here and there, just general trout fishing. I haven't seen a nice colored up native brook trout over call it 9-10 inches in a while.
Me neither.
I caught a couple. In all honesty, I caught 3 that were over 10 inches. The rest were only 8 and 9 inch. There was a pile of them, and the new spot I found. I'm told by this old timer, older than me, that there's 13 or 14 inches in this particular creek.
And this is New Jersey.
No, this one's in New York. The one
This one's in New York.
In Jersey.
Damn it, you keep getting me all riled up.
No, the one in New Jersey though, I could see him being 12 or 13 in there because I caught some really fat 11s in there through the years.
I'll text you later.
Yeah, we'll check it out for you, Dave. We don't want you to have to come back down here and.
It's not a far ride. Listen, I come back down there for work every day. At least I could do.
All right.
Down and fish.
He comes here and grubs our money and then takes it back to New York and then says we suck. Dave, real quick, so we're not here with you all night, but I know now as you've gotten older, you've picked up your new hobby of photography that you've now added to your fishing and taking pictures. Is there a place where people that watch the podcast can check your pictures out?
Not really. Maybe maybe I'll post some on the your site.
On Mayhem.
Yeah, I got a bunch of really good smallmouth pictures of smallmouth jumping. Really,
all right.
Really good shot.
Yeah, that's perfect. Maybe one day we'll take Chris on one of your road trips.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
When trout season comes.
This better not be like a Kattowski road trip.
No,
it's bad, dude. It's bad.
We'll just start real early, and we'll do what we were talking about the other day, Joe. Wild rainbow, wild brookie, wild brown, all the same day.
That'd be cool.
Can you just tell him, Cromer, that work is so far away that your car actually melted in the parking lot? Like your car melted while you were in work.
That was in Jersey City in a parking garage.
And he also got audited by the IRS because they didn't believe the mileage on his car was humanly possible, so they audited him.
Jesus Christ.
They got me.
But most of that driving was to fishing spots.
And work. Chris, I'm not kidding. When this guy
he's going to get in trouble if they listen to this because now they know all the miles were for fishing.
When this guy invites you trout fishing, you're not hitting the creek up the street. Like you're going 5 hours away to the Adirondacks. You'll still be home by like dinner, but it's just craziness, insanity. Follow Dave Kattowski on Facebook if you want to see his photos. Don't bother messaging him. He's not going to tell you shit. He won't tell you where that brook trout stream is. Don't waste your time.
We're going to check it out, though.
You will, hopefully, Deuce will get some Patrick Swayze photographs in. Dave, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I know you got to be up to leave for work at about midnight, so you get there by normal time. Right? You got about a 7-hour drive down here to work.
It's all right. It's a living.
Chris, he literally parked. He does kind of what I do, but he a different trick. He does sprinklers. I do the AC. He parked his car, went in, work, came out. It was just ashes, pile of ashes. Like the car just burned itself.
Like it just overheated and just melted?
There was a recall that they never gave me.
Oh. Well, that makes a little bit more sense. But
And how many miles? How many miles were on the car that the IRS investigated?
387,000.
and what amount of time? 1 year?
One
No, it was
year.
like 2.5 years.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
Cromer, thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Thanks
I'll
for having
hopefully talk to you soon.
tight lines. Catch them up.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you, dude.
Nice talking to you.
Good talking.
See ya.
Yeah, Chris, you would. He's hilarious.
I mean, that sounds much better than a Madowski
He
road.
really has though. He's taken me to some spots in Jersey where you're just like in the middle of a crowded like shithole, and you're like, where are we? And it's
Dude,
just
I've just,
craziness.
you know, you used to do shit like that. Like I used to, I'd see a stream, and I'd say, "Oh, that looks cool. I'm gonna swing back around tomorrow and fish that." Now you're kind of like jaded by the internet, and you're like, "I've never heard of that one. There must not be anything there," and I try to fight it, but it's a real, thing. Like you can't get it out of your mind. Like I would have heard of it somewhere. Someone, someone would have posted it somewhere. You got to get out of that mindset.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see this weekend. Possibly. I don't know. Looks like we'll be stuck trout fishing. Possibly You're blackfishing Thursday, so
I am slated to go out with pending decent weather because I think he's going out far, but I'm slated to go out with some buddies on the Sea Owl, and hopefully the weather's all right. So that because if the weather's not good, I think he's not even going to bother because they've been having to go further to get into some good fish. So we'll see, but I'll let you know how that goes. And I need a big tog in my life. It's been a while since I had a really big one. I mean, the trip
everyone
up in
does.
Rhode Island was good in October, but yeah, I haven't personally caught a big New Jersey tog in quite a while.
The DD.
I've never broke. My biggest one is 8 pounds.
Mine's 6.
Yeah, my biggest one was 8 pounds. Never
Well,
had a double digit.
possibly if I don't know something happens, there's a possibility we'll be blackfishing again Saturday, maybe.
Yeah, I guess let's play it by ear.
We also have Super Bowl boxes available if you want to buy a Super Bowl box on Mayhem. We're all playing. They're $10. Anything else?
Yeah, just real quick. The messages we got. We got the one about the trout, which we talked about. Basically, I think what we wanted to say is if we're not gonna leave anyone. We're not gonna put out anyone's name out there unless you specifically want us to. I guess we wouldn't know unless you say. But I guess if they left their name, maybe they don't mind, but we're not sure. So basically, if you leave a message and you want us to share your name or don't mind, I guess leave your name. If you don't want to, then obviously we won't know. As far as the trout, just to summarize up, I mean, if we can do anything in the future to get them to start stocking, encourage them to start stocking browns again, we'd obviously would do that. As far as the brook trout, I don't think you're ever going to win that battle just because their reasoning behind it is to, keep the native brook trout gene pool like how it is, and they don't want to taint it. So that would be a tough one. And even the brown trout, aren't they now arguing that the brown trout are basically bullying the brook trout out of their natural ranges in these rivers and stuff?
New York has no trouble with this. It's just like only in Jersey it happens.
I don't know, but I will say, whatever happens in the future, I can tell you 100%. Obviously, there's a lot of wild brown trout swimming around. There's some nice sized ones. There's some nice 18, 20-inch wild brown trout swimming around. You know, they're not everywhere. It's a pretty much a prize catch, but
Well, I also that phone call, I'll say I appreciate that phone call too, because that was a nice, really nice phone call, message, and we appreciate the support. Like I said, like Chris said, I don't want to say your name without permission, but we do appreciate it. The other voice message was from the Ice Badger.
I remember you texted me. You're like, we got this character, the Ice Badger, and I'm like, don't worry, Joe. I know Ice Badger. Ice Badger's awesome. He uses no social media. I mean, I've ice fished with him before just by chance. He's a longtime Knee Deep Club member. I do not know his real name. I forgot it. Dwayne might remember it. I just call him Ice Badger. Fished with him a couple times on the ice on Lake Opakong just by random chance. He just happened to show up at the same spot.
His name is Alex Stockton.
Oh, really?
AKA the Ice Badger.
But see, you didn't want to use the other guy's name, but you just threw this one out there. What? If,
I don't know. This guy.
What if Deuce just told me he bleeped that out? So,
okay. All right. I'm done with this.
I'm not done yet.
Okay.
So I wanted to touch one more thing. There's been a lot of arguing over. So you posted.
That's the first time I've ever been yelled at for something getting edited out. That's crazy. Pretty shocked, actually. 44 episodes I made it, and he's cutting me. All right, go ahead.
You had some videos of the wild trout fishing you were doing, right?
Yeah, and they did good on Instagram and Facebook, and they tanked on YouTube.
I don't care about that. So the rainbow trout, you released a rainbow trout, juvenile rainbow trout, wild.
No, that was you.
Fish. Huh?
That was you.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, it was. That's a camouflage sleeve. That ain't my shirt.
Then maybe it was John. I didn't catch no juvenile wild rainbow.
Yeah, you did, Chris. It's from the day we did the experiment.
There was multiple ones. It doesn't matter. It's not part of this argument. The point is, there's a lot of people arguing that fish is a juvenile brook trout.
What?
You didn't see any of this?
I saw one person say it.
No, there was at least 3 or 4.
I've seen this occur multiple times in other places. There's a problem with baby brook trout. The baby rainbow trout's the easiest one to tell of any of them.
I will say this. What pisses me off is when if I tell you 100% it's something, I'm not just talking out of my ass. So I'm going to put up pictures right now while I'm explaining this. The juvenile rainbow trout, right? And the juvenile brook trout. They do look very similar at first glance, but they're also very easy to tell the difference between each of them. The juvenile rainbow, you can already start to see that pink on the lateral line. Okay? And on the brook trout, on the juvenile brook trout, the big spot, they both have these big, weird, like shadowy spots that go away when they get older. So that's why they look similar. But the juvenile brook trout already has a very defined white line on the edge of its fins in the back. And it also already starts having the faded red dots.
Yeah, it has the red dots. So
the fish that you're releasing, the juvenile rainbow trout, you can see the pink on the lateral line.
You releasing it.
Was one. If there is one of me, there's also one of you. So it doesn't matter. You're gonna argue about whose fucking hand it is?
I know that ain't my shirt.
Dude, if you keep talking about this, Kevin Glenn is gonna put up a poll on the site with pictures of our hands and asking people whose hand is prettier.
Listen, I know the shirt. I made the video. It's yours, that one.
Oh my God. There was 2.
Also, I've never, in the history of the NJMSP, I have never posted a video of a brook trout. So if you're saying there's a brook trout anywhere, you're wrong, because I've never posted one.
Bottom line, they're easy to tell apart if you know what to look at. the rainbow trout that either me or Joe is releasing in the video has no red dots. The white on the fin is just a very faded on the tip. That's just normal, like fading on the tip of the fin. That's not the white defined line.
Are you talking about the video where the hand comes down and lets it go and it just nicely sits there and then swims away?
There's 2 videos. They're both rainbow trout. I don't know whose freaking hand it is. It doesn't.
Is it a left hand or a right hand?
God, Joe, I don't know.
All right, I'm done. Deuce,
doesn't matter.
it's over. We will be back next week, and we'll sort out whose hand this is. Who's the guest next week?
Dude, can you imagine what's going to happen when Kevin gets a hold of this video? Whose hand is this?
All right. It's over.
Next week, we got Dave Awe is coming back on.
Dave Awe. I talked to Dave today.
All right. Anyone who's on the site or following along know that Dave's fighting some shit right now, and he wanted to come on. We moved some stuff around. We're going to get Dave on next week. He's going to. It's a little early, but we want to get it out there, and then we'll repost and re-promote all this. It's all for the big shad tournament.
Basically, what's going on is Dave's going to have to, unfortunately, be undergoing some treatment when this comes up. So we're going to get this out while we can. We'll talk about all that with Dave next week.
Yeah. All you need to know is if you don't know anything about the shad or the shad contest for right now, it's a giant, huge
thing.
Contest. Huh?
It's a huge thing, and it's basically just won by luck because, it's just anyone could catch the biggest shad realistically,
it's
and you could win.
Yeah, massive contest. We're gonna go all into it. Dave's got it all handled. He wants to talk about it. He wants to tell everyone about it, tell how to fish for it, how to enter, everything. He's got all the info, and that's going to be next week's episode. It's going to be cool. Like I said, it's a little bit early for the contest. I don't think the contest it's later on in spring. I don't want to say the month without knowing, but I want to say
I think it's May.
I think it's before May. Honestly, I think it's April.
Really?
I think it's early April. I don't know.
I'm 0 for 2 tonight. Whatever.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but we're doing it now just because we want to make sure Dave can do it, and then he does plan on fishing the contest. But by the time he's back up on his feet, ready to go, it'd be too late to give all the information. So that's why we're doing it early. We'll do it next week. And
if you have any questions, comments, or whatever for Dave Awe, email them to us at njmultispecies@gmail.com. We will see everyone next week.
Yep. We'll see you then.